Amy Dover here with the DoverDrive Experience. You are tuned in to our new platform, our new show, sharing all the goodness about how you can kick your life and your business into DoverDrive. And today we have a very special program designed just for you. I'm so glad that you're tuning in because I have really incredible guests joining me today to go over A.C.E Planning. And this is what every single business owner, entrepreneur, boss, whatever you call yourself, you need A.C.E Planning. And this means that we have a great sense of awareness. That means that we have a great sense of creativity and that we have emotional resiliency, because let's face it, being a business owner can sometimes be a little bit of an emotional roller coaster. And so we find balance in all that we're doing. And it's really important that we fuel the person to be able to fuel the business. Now, I have two very incredible women on the line with me today. I could not be more thrilled to have these women, one, in my life because they're amazing and I get to glean so much from them, but two, because these two ladies really have a heart of a servant. I mean, each individually, and they just have such a giving spirit. And you couple that with the incredible learned material and knowledge that they have to share. My God, they are gifting you with so much today. So on the panel discussion for A.C.E Planning, we have Deb Boulanger, and she is the CEO of The Great Do-Over. And she just launched a new podcast last month. I'm so proud of this one. This is Life After Corporate, because most of us, we really do start out in the corporate environment. And then we take this crazy leap to become entrepreneurs and fulfill our dreams and our passion and our purpose. And then we need Deb, right? So she helps us to launch new programs and to launch really profitable business ventures and products. So welcome to the panel, Deb. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Amy. I am really thrilled to be here, and especially at this time where we're experiencing unprecedented change in how we do business, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to let Deb talk a little bit about the change and the pivot and the creativity. And then we have Miss Shaillee Chopra on the line. And Shaillee is the Chief Digital Innovation Officer, because we need a really long title to wrap up all the goodness that she is. She's the Chief Digital Innovation Officer for Lumina Health Partners. And she is on the line to talk a lot about emotional resiliency and what that means for the whole person. You know, not only is she with Lumina Health Partners, but she's also the president of the International School of Story that focuses on facilitating hope through emotional and mental resiliency through the art of storytelling. And you guys are going to hear a lot about our stories and what we're going through. Not only are we just going to share some good information, some structured learning for you, but we're also going to share some of how we're doing it. We're doing the same things that we're going to share with you today and kind of walk through what that looks like in our lives, in our businesses, how we're leaning on each other, how we're getting things done every single day, because it's real out here. It's absolutely real. And I want to go straight into a little bit about creativity, because I feel like I need to frame this around expanding your mind, and so that you can consume all of this information in a great way that impacts your business right away. So Deb, tell us a little bit about how we can make some small shifts right now to make big impact in our business, not only from where we stand, but where we're going, because we're all going to grow together.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things that we have to acknowledge, right? So this is a very anxious time for most people around the world. And the first step is to really, in order to get creative, we need to deal with the anxiety, because anxiety and creativity can't exist in the same mind at the same time. So first, go to your tools for how you deal with anxiety. And once you clear the anxiety and get past the stories in your head, so my revenue has dried up, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my job, or maybe you have lost your job, dealing with the anxiety, to open up to the opportunities that are emerging in this time. So where are the opportunities? So you have skills. You have skills that people need right now. And there are new opportunities. I mean, teachers are now taking curriculum design for the classroom and putting it on technology platforms. We need technologists. We need operational leaders to help organizations reduce waste in their operations so that they can keep more of their employees. We need people who are experts in homeschooling. We were talking before the broadcast. Many of my clients have their kids at home all of a sudden. And now you're not only parent and business leader, you're also a teacher. So how do we take the skills that you have and look at the problems that are emerging in this unprecedented environment that we're in, and where can you be of service, and where can you be seen and heard? So now is a time to step outside of your comfort zone, my friend, because you being silent doesn't serve anyone. So Amy is always bold and out here sharing, and I've been bold and out here sharing. Shaillee's been bold and out here sharing, and it's time for you to be bold and out here sharing. So whatever your medium is, whether it's going live on social media, whether it's posting your expertise in a blog and being helpful, and creating that awareness that you are here to help and to serve. And through that awareness, there will emerge new business opportunities, because it's up to us to keep the economy moving as well. So while business might not be happening right now, some business is happening. So where can you serve? Where can you support your community? What talents do you have? And what's the platform that you'll use to be seen and heard? So thank you so much, Amy, for including me in the discussion.
Yeah, I'm thrilled that you're saying that you have to create opportunity. And that is so true. And as entrepreneurs who maybe you've been in business for a while and you're so used to your routine and what you know, well, it's really time to step outside that box of what's comfort to you and what's business as usual, because Deb's going to tell you a little bit about her little hashtag a little bit, that it's not usual. There's nothing usual about what's happening right now, but there definitely are opportunities. And it's time. It's so time. Invest in yourself enough to, like, if you have to, shut it down for a day and sit in your home office and think about all the skills that you have. Think about all the places in your community and the audience that you serve, and where are there holes right now that you say this needs to be fixed. Well, we're challenging you to say, I can fix it. I can fix it because I'm strong. I know that I have gifts, and I'm going to invoke all of this creativity that Deb has just spoke about, and we're going to change the economy. We're going to push this thing right back into the space that it needs to be in, and it just may look a little differently. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay that it looks differently. But to do that, sometimes we have to channel some inner strength. And so I'm talking to myself on this one too, right? I'm always channeling this inner strength that, okay, it's time. It's absolutely time. And I love the fact that, not only does Shaillee work in the healthcare space from a technology perspective of moving that forward, but also in the emotional and mental resiliency space in sharing hope. So Shaillee, can you tell us a couple of tips about how we can tune in to ourselves and things that we can do every day to maintain that sense of being grounded?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Amy. And I will echo what Deb said. Creativity and anxiety can coexist in the same space, especially during these times. So, I think we can only be creative and bold and show up once we have grounded ourselves, and once we are coming from a place that's intentional, that is very grounded, that we are very aware of our strengths. We become more aware of the opportunities and see opportunities that we might not have seen before. So this time, especially when you cannot go outside, you might be seeing this little post floating around in social media. When you can't go outside, go inside. So self-care is paramount in times of change such as today. And I've been reflecting on this as well, because as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, I am used to having my space during the day when kids go to school and have a certain rhythm to me traveling to my client sites, because I do a lot of in-person work, strategy work with my clients. And when I'm not traveling, I'm working out of my home office. But I have my space, I have my routine, I have my rhythm, which is all out of the window at this time. I'm now home with my whole family, with my kids, who also have to look into how do I homeschool them while dealing with my own anxiety of change and uncertainty. My business, much like everybody else, certainly has been impacted. So I had to take a step back and really go within and start with self-care. And two things that I want to share that really helped me in my journey is taking time to set the intention for the day. I've often journaled and meditated, for years now, but I'm having to shift my practice a little bit, that when I start my day and I set an intention, I'm having to set intentions on what do I want to do in terms of self-care, whether that's ensuring I step outside for a walk during my day, drinking enough water, doing breathing exercises. I set intentions on how I'm going to show up for my family who's now around me all day long. So whether how, setting some activities that I'll do with my kids, walk with my husband, and then setting aside time where I do some thinking and pivoting in my business model, whether that's with Lumina Health Partners, recognizing the new needs I can serve that were really not on my horizon, on my radar before, or my work with my nonprofit International School of Story, where we're having to shift entirely the model in which we connect with people to serve hope. And lastly, I included a new category, which I was never really intentional of before, is how do I connect with my tribe, with my community? Because unless we come up with new ways to connect with our tribe, you can easily feel very isolated. So whether that's a virtual, happy hour that I had with my girlfriends last night over a glass of wine, why not? Take advantage of technology to connect with people differently. And I think this is also a time that's going to challenge us to get past our inner barriers on technology. You do have to adapt with times differently. And my second tip would be take time to connect with your breath, because time is what we have a lot of it right now. And just said, there are a lot of apps available on your phone, mindfulness, calm app, which prompt you just take a few seconds and take a deep breath in, hold it for 4 seconds, and let it out through your mouth to the count of 8. And you will be surprised how much that helps us calm down our feelings, ground our feelings, bring us back into our bodies, and really help us deal with anxiety. So really being intentional and committed to self-care while we're navigating this new paradigm of our families, of our communities, and certainly our businesses becomes of paramount importance.
So thank you so very much, Shaillee, for sharing that information. And the way that you guys set me up for this was totally not intentional. I swear I don't have a script for them. But in all sincerity, going from creativity to emotional resiliency and then awareness. I know we're out of order in ACE, but it's just wrapping it up in such a pretty bow that part of awareness is really knowing yourself. So I want you to know yourself and know your business, and I'll give you a couple of examples really quickly of each, and we'll kind of get back into a discussion. So let me pause for 2 seconds before I do that and say, if you're tuning in right now and you have questions about how to pivot in your business, how to create more awareness in your business, how to generate creativity or surround yourself with creative thinkers, or how to even implement some breathing exercises or build that emotional resiliency for yourself. If you have questions about any of that or anything else that you'd like to share right now, regardless of what platform or whose personal page you're watching on at this moment, put it in the comments. we're here doing this right now to be of service to you. And, you know, I've gathered these women who are way smarter than I am and just insanely giving and just the biggest hearts. And, you know, this is my gift to you. Use it. Use it. Use it to the fullest extent that you have them on the line right now. It will be the biggest gift that you give yourself and your business. So backing us up to awareness, knowing yourself, know what it means to be balanced as a human being. We're all chemically balanced differently. We all handle stress differently. We all process information differently. And so know what works for you, the human, not what works for your friends or what works for some other business owner, but know what works for you and tap into that. And, you know, Shaillee just mentioned the fact that, you know, she had a virtual happy hour. I've had 2 this week already. So one was a virtual happy hour with some folks. And then last night, one of the things that I never give up, you guys have probably heard me say this a million times, I go to book club every month. My girls are there. I need this time. I need this space in my life. And I don't give that up. And we were going to have to give that up this month. And I was like, no. I have Zoom. We can get on technology and do these things. And so we had a 5-hour book club conversation last night of, you know, like half an hour was talking about the book. And then the rest of it was catching up with each other because we love each other and we want to know what's going on and we want to stay connected. And so you know what works for you, the human being. And then the second part is knowing what works for your business. You have to know your business. Now, we just talked about, you know, creativity and pivoting and thinking, you know, outside of the box, but what does that mean to you? You have to know what your foundational services really are. You have to know that, you know, what makes you money? What are you known for? What are you consistently good at? Do those 3 things align? You know, that they really should align for you to be making great impact in your business and a profitable impact in your business and your life. And so, you know, knowing that foundation is really incredible. I want to take a minute because we had such a good conversation before this call even started, as we were just kind of setting up, and we let the tech guys do what the tech guys do. And we were just catching up with each other and getting in tune with what's happening in life and business. And this is where the meat of it is. Like we scheduled this call to be on with you and to share these goodness about ACE, awareness, creativity, emotional resiliency. But here's how we're doing it. Mm-hmm. Here's because we're doing it. This is an example of us doing it. This is a new technology platform for me. We had an entire video series planned, and I have a separate interview with Shaillee that we were going to air, and I can't air that the same way. I can't be around people to continue the interviews the same way. So we had to get creative, and we had to sit in a room and say, what are our strengths? Who around me can do something that I cannot do? And so I'm going to ask you ladies, like, who are you having these powwows with that's feeding you and your business?
I think your squad is so important. So I happen to be part of an incubator. So I have my coach and my squad that feeds me. And of course, I'm of service. So I'm a leader in the Elevate Network. I'm leading business roundtables once a week. And every Monday night, I decided to do an open Zoom call, business continuity and creative reinvention in times of crisis. And anyone in my inner circle can join that call, and whoever shows up, and we're there to support each other. So I think that's so important, right? So being there and asking for help when it feels so isolating. On a personal note, I'm in day 14 of self-quarantine because my son was in Madrid doing a semester abroad. And if you've been paying attention to the news, that is the hotbed of the coronavirus in Europe. And I'm 100 miles from New York City, which is my business home, which is the hotbed of coronavirus right now for the US.
Bless you.
this is business unusual, right? So we're all safe, we're all healthy. We're so grateful for that. But I know you're facing these things too. And so the way I've been supporting my clients through the Launch Lab for Women Entrepreneurs, and truthfully too, through the Life After Corporate podcast, is what do you have? So I've been reaching out to clients like crazy because Lorraine is an expert in building digital platforms for companies to function. She was involved in the Girl Scouts of America digital platform, which is how that organization is surviving right now. So I'm like, girl, you're just getting started, but we're putting you out there right away because the world needs you right now. They need to hear from you. I have another client who just started with me too, Lauren, who helps businesses reduce costs and increase efficiency in their operations so they can keep more of their employees. And that's what business owners want right now. They want to keep their employees on payroll. And I have another client who's just coming on board. So business is still working. I don't believe in something called the new normal. It might be business unusual. But I have a new client who's coming on board who is an expert in homeschooling. And how many parents, like, raise your hand if suddenly you're a teacher as well as a mom, as well as a business owner. So these times call for creative people. And the other day, I'll just close with one more thing. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, and sometimes I'm meant to get a message that I'm supposed to share. And my message last week was, women warriors don't retreat, we lead. And so now it's really a call for all the women leaders to show up for your communities. And I think it's also important, and Shaillee, you'll probably expand on this a little bit more, that we take care of ourselves in this process.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, for me, connections, having your tribe, relying on your tribe. And if you've not really intentionally built a tribe before, it's okay. Reaching out right now is incredibly important. As important as it is to go within, I think it's important to be intentional that we watch out and not isolate ourselves. So for me, my tribe, you know, I have tribe on my business front where I have folks I rely on to do creative thinking, almost like in think tank ways. And we've been, you know, having calls, and really in this business unusual, where we're all forced to really take a step back and recognize, okay, what are the needs out there? You know, I typically work with, as part of Lumina Health Partners, work with large healthcare organizations on growth strategies, on strategy work to move into value-based care. Yet where we are in the healthcare space in the crisis mode, you know, it sort of, as I took a step back and we realized the need is very basic. Where the rubber meets the road, providers are struggling with how do you transition to technology platform and still connect with patients. Patients are struggling with how do they develop a relationship with the provider in a new way. So we're reaching out and we're being of service through education, through coaching, through mentoring on how to use telehealth to connect with patients. And because we are aware of the rulings, you know, also guiding them on how do you bill for it, how do you get reimbursed for it, so that your business is sustainable during these times. Another thought that I had was, in this time of anxiety, while technology is great and we use social media to express ourselves, to, you know, catch up with news and connect with others, what I'm also noticing is there is no shortage of news and information that sometimes even propels your anxiety. You know, we tend to gravitate towards negative news, just as human beings we do. So as part of our International School of Story, you know, with our mission to really elevate positivity and elevate hope, we decided we were going to launch a campaign called Acts of Hope. Let's create a campaign where everybody comes in and shares their story on how did they give hope? What is one act they did to really elevate positivity in somebody's life, or when they were poured into? And the power of positivity, it's exponential. It really reaches out and amplifies. So really, as you go within to do your self-care, recognize where your strengths are. Recognize how you are called to connect with others differently. Push yourself out of your comfort zone and don't be afraid to reach out for help. to ask for help. Hey, I'm not comfortable. How do I use this? Do you have any tips for me? How do I connect with people? I mean, I'll quote my teenagers who I said, why don't you do FaceTime calls with your friends? He's like, Mom, who talks on the phone? We only text. But here's a time, after they saw me doing my virtual happy hour with my glass of wine and giggling it for 3 hours, he's like, all right, maybe we'll do a virtual party with my friends too.
That's awesome.
Sometimes you just have to lead with an example, but adaptability is the key to sustainability along with healthcare.
So true. So very true. And, let this be an example. Like, I know that we think sometimes that either a business is brick and mortar in your city, or it's online, or it's digital. And that is not the case.
Yeah.
It absolutely has to be both if you are a brick and mortar first. And if not, then continue on with your digital. But in all sincerity, Shaillee, her team is, I think, right now actually doing this webinar. That, as soon as I saw this, I'm sending this out to private practices here in Georgia. And, if we're going to talk about doing telemedicine, then we need to talk about doing teletraining to learn how to do telemedicine.
Absolutely.
Right? And so the platform fits, and it's really, transcending that the fact that she's in Austin, Texas right now, and that I'm in Savannah, Georgia. But if there's a need and it can really be filled without reaching out and having to physically, visit someone's location, it can be done. My biggest issue right now is really helping brick and mortar businesses, because I tend to work mostly with brick and mortar businesses, helping them to realize that the digital space is not for the young. It's not for the tech savvy. It's not for, just the online people. It is for everyone. And it is a huge missed opportunity if you're not reaching out and learning how you can fill a gap in your marketplace, because there are still gaps in your marketplace. And those gaps, those solutions to them, will be the thing that sets you apart in your marketplace.
There's so much opportunity. And, when you can quell the anxiety, then there's opportunity. Even if you've been laid off or made redundant, or you're afraid that you'll be made redundant, you have skills that can be packaged and sold, and you can be of service to others. So consider all possibilities, even though we're under this intense period of anxiety. And I agree with Shaillee that there's so much fearful news. There's so much fear out there. And yes, we need to be duly cautious. We don't want to infect ourselves. I live in a resort community, and half of Manhattan came out to escape the city thinking that they escaped the virus. And we're just saying, hey, people, just stay home. Just stay home so that maybe we do get to enjoy a summer season out here and be good neighbors. So there's a lot of change in behavior on the personal level as well as the business level.
Very, very, very true. I have the first question for Ms. Shaillee, actually. And so we have the question, with your recommendation of connecting with our breath, are there any routines or practices that you would suggest for us to do in our homes while many of us are under stay-at-home orders?
Actually, to connect with breath, it doesn't really matter where you are. And home is as perfect a place as, my beloved yoga studio, which I dearly miss these days. But I start with, when I start my morning, wake up, have my cup of tea, and after I've had my caffeine, I'm really a little awake. Just 30-second pauses. 30-second pauses to just stand where you are, take a deep breath, hopefully taking it to your belly as best as you can. 4 counts in, 4 counts of pause, and then 6 counts of taking it out through your mouth. If you want to do that just a couple of times a day, you will realize after the 3rd or the 4th time, your breath is actually deeper, going in deeper. Your capacity to take it inside becomes deeper on that. And if you're like me and you like, guided exercises, there are many apps available out there. Some of them are even free that you can leverage on your phone or YouTube channel. I was thinking of the name of some apps. There's Prana Breath, Breath to Relax, Box Breathing, and we can share these resources later on in the comments as well. You can go to YouTube, you can leverage some of these apps. I actually have my teenager use one of these apps because he's just a very high energy kid. And when we got onto the meditation thing, we really started small. We started small by doing breaths 8 times a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. That's all. Keep it very, very simple. Or anytime you feel anxiety bubbling up, anytime you feel your thoughts are racing faster than what you'd like it to be, your heart rate is a little faster, you're caught too much in your head, just take a pause, take a step back, wherever you are, standing, sitting, walking, take a deep breath, and you'll realize how powerful really a breath is. I think, that's the amazing part. All the solutions to really survive and sustain these unusual times, interestingly enough, already exist with us. And all we've got to do is become aware of it and be willing to try them.
That is so true. Like, that's one of the things that I love about what we're sharing today is that we're not telling you you need to go buy a widget.
Mm-hmm.
We're not telling you that you need to go learn a new skill. We're not telling you to spend any money whatsoever. We're not asking you to pay us for anything. We're not telling you to run out to the store and get anything. It's within you.
Yes.
Everything that you need is within you. You know yourself better than anyone else. You know your industry better than anyone else. And then bring people into the space with you that know how to impact that industry or know how to impact that business model. And they don't have to be the same as you.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. Like, most of my people are not the same as me. We don't need that in the world.
Tap into the diversity, tap into the strengths of differences. I think that's where you become stronger. Surround yourself with people who know things that maybe you're not great at or you don't know. It's okay. It's okay to learn something new. It's okay to go within and, the mushy stuff, right? Self-care, breathing, maybe even dabble into meditation a little bit. Walks out in the nature, the power of silence. It's all these things that we have heard about that we perhaps, did not spend enough time in the speed at which we were running. I think in a way, this is an opportunity for us to pause, go within, ground ourselves, and truly tap into the power of creativity that we already have within us, as Deb pointed out. The solutions are there. It's if you can bring in awareness to see them.
Right.
And you can consider this, there's also a refrain of this self-quarantine for all time, for eternity. Monks and religious people have gone on self-retreat. So if you can reframe this on going on a self-retreat and incorporate things around self-care, maybe you up your health routine, you start eating cleaner food. I know around here, I'm so grateful I have a farmer that delivers fresh fish and meats and vegetables and fruits. So, making green smoothies is something that I've gone back to that I had slipped away from. So how can you create this self-retreat and self-care? And then on the other side, on the creative expression, one of the things I write in my journal almost every day, and journaling is another way of self-care and alleviating some of the stressful thoughts that are swirling around in your head, is, excuse me, how can you be seen and heard? How can I be seen and heard today? In whatever mode that is for you. It could be as simple as video calling a friend, or even just telephoning a friend and getting away from text, having that human connection. Or it might be sharing your expertise. Is there an article you can write? Is it time for you to start a podcast? If you don't like being on camera and you get self-conscious being seen, then how can you be heard? Podcasting is a great way of getting your voice out there and getting your opinions known. So there's so many channels for you. Just take care of yourself.
Take care
Yeah,
of
and
yourself.
one of the things that we're going to do here is we're going to share. I don't know what platform you're watching on, or who has shared this video, or where it's coming from, but on all three of our platforms, wherever you're finding the video on our platforms, there'll be links to the other ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're feeling like you don't really want to put a question in the chat system, if you're feeling a little not comfortable with the situation at all, or maybe just don't want people knowing your business, that's okay too. Go ahead and reach out to whomever you feel a need to connect with. We are truly doing this to be of service. I've spent probably far more time than I even should, but I kind of feel drawn to. I'm in a couple of business chat rooms, I guess groups now, right? So I'm in a couple of, that's such an old term, no one's going to know what a chat room is. So I'm in a couple of business groups, and anytime I can answer a question for someone, I'm answering the question. I'm not saying, here's a link to buy my product. Here's a link to work with me. This is how much I charge. If I can simply sit and answer a few questions every day and help someone to dig out of this even faster, then I feel like I'm doing my part. And so, if that's your gift, Deb talked about being creative and looking for opportunities to be of service. If that's it, that's plenty. That's sufficient. That's fantastic. Please go and do that. I know it can be somewhat difficult when they're telling you not to leave your house, then we're saying be of service. But there are areas, I know specifically my church, next Saturday, I'm going to be packing lunches. And there are a lot of families in our communities who are not getting the proper food that they need. They are food insecure, and we have the power to do something. You may not have the financial stability to go out and buy the food for someone else. But if you are healthy and you're maintaining all of the parameters of social distancing and can really go and lend a hand, that time is so very valuable too. It's just looking for those opportunities, because they really do exist in your community. Specifically here in Savannah, I can tell you that, Live Like Locals is doing some business share, and the resources that they're sharing, like they're surfing the web for businesses in Savannah that are open, that are delivering food, that are providing services, that are feeding people, stations to go get soap. Some local businesses are just giving away soap. Some other businesses have turned their manufacturing into hand sanitizer manufacturing. They're making hand sanitizer. And so, pay attention to the community outlets that are out there. And that's just one example. We have lots of them here in Savannah. But that's just one example of getting connected to the right people. Like, look for those people who are sharing the goodness, because we need the goodness. We need the resources. We don't need to fill our minds and our space and what can, consume our bodies as well, because your emotions are felt. And if we are to stay healthy, we need to feel good emotions. We need to feel positivity coming from those around us. And serving is the best way to do that. I love it. And I grew up listening to my grandmother, talk about doing good and following. And I'm not going to preach, I promise. Every time I get on a video, I'm about to preach. But she used to say all the time, you can't outgive God. You can't outgive him. So try. Make that your mission. Like, try. Get out there and do something. And so find your way. Find your way. And that may be the way that you find your way out of this. So I'm going to take a pause real quick and look for additional questions. Has anything popped up on your guys' pages as we're going along before I get off of here? We've had a steady stream of folks in and listening and waving and loving all the goodness, and so much is happening. And so I'm sure we're going to get comments and questions later in addition, just because of the privacy factor, and we totally respect that. I just, wanted to make sure that we made ourselves available to you, and that we are providing a service and resource to those who do need it. This is our way of giving back. And if you find a need, you find that you want to connect, and it's, a quick connection or a quick tip or whatever, like, I'm not charging for that right this second. I mean, we will be, but all in all, like right now, this is about being of service. And I sat with a lady the other day, and it was so heartbreaking a little bit to like hear her hold on to something that she wanted. And I literally asked her, and if you could have seen like the look on her face that washed over her face when I asked her this, I said, do you want to be more committed to the past that is not working? Or do you want to be committed to the possibility of the future? And that's what you have to ask yourself right now as we're doing this A.C.E planning. You literally have to ask yourself what you're committed to. Get really, really personal, really deep and just talk to yourself and answer that question. Answer that question of what you're committed to, and then you'll start to find answers. You'll start to find answers to find the reality of it all, and find your way through this, because we will all come through this. And it's a really incredible time that we're in. We're trying to look at the positive side of this. We are absolutely trying to find innovation in this. We're trying to find deeper connection in this. Shaillee asked me a question 2 days ago. I think she said, are we on Eastern time or Central time? And I was like, oh man, I forgot that you're not on the same time zone. I talk to you so much that I forget. And it's true. It is so true that like she's part of my daily routine on the left coast, and I'm in Georgia, she's in Texas. And so we just have to create our world. We're in control of this to a large degree, not totally, but to a very large degree. We have a lot more control than we give ourselves credit for. We have a lot more creativity than we give ourselves credit for. It's all about being aware and emotionally resilient so that you can create in this time. You can create and come through in this time.
That's such a great point, Amy. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I didn't want to gloss over that. What you can control is this moment.
Yeah.
This moment right now. And we get into trouble when we hold on because negative thoughts are so sticky, right? So fear, I always say fear is sticky and it's slippery. You think you've escaped it and it just comes in a new door. And just the managing the mind, and what you can control is this moment right now, and staying here right now without attaching to a fearful thought. So not spending time worrying about something that hasn't happened yet,
right,
which is attaching to the future or ruminating the past. So staying in the present moment. And Shaillee, you had so many great ideas with breathing and meditation. Journaling is another one. If you find yourself, really overrun with negative thoughts, just write them all out. Just get it out there. Sometimes I say our minds are like hoarders' houses. There's no room for insight or inspiration or creativity because there's no room to move the furniture around. So it's like Marie Kondoing your head and purging all those negative thoughts by putting them in a journal, or writing them on a piece of paper, throwing them out, whatever works for you, so that you have the opportunity to really be here and be present for yourself.
I'd like to just add on, in addition to journaling, which is definitely part of my day-to-day. Yesterday, I was on the phone with my life coach, again, talking about relying on your tribe. Mm-hmm. And I was talking about my own insecurities, my own, anxieties. Revenue's down, business model is uncertain at this point. With the stock market crashing, God, my savings, my retirement account, my college fund account for the kids who are getting ready for college, all seems to be going down the drain, right? And, also being kind and compassionate to self, to allow yourself a few moments where you can address those feelings of negativity. It's okay. Those are not bad feelings. It's as long as we can acknowledge them, address them, and then put them aside and make a shift to positivity. Because if we try to suppress our fear, our anxiety, then again, we're giving it too much energy. So creating a safe space, that's through journaling, that's through perhaps you reaching out to a friend or a coach who you can have that session with, but then allowing pause and saying, okay, what can I do? And one of the things I also practice in addition to journaling, and it's quite new to me, is positive affirmations. After I had my moment of, oh my God, the revenue is going down, the savings is going down, what am I going to do? Then being kind to yourself and saying, okay, I shall survive this. I am going to be safe and secure. I am going to find new creative ways to be of service through my business. And even though I might not see the revenue come right away, these are all building steps that will allow me to find new opportunity, be of service, and generate revenue in a way that I had not considered before. So the power of positive affirmations, whenever you feel anxiety come up, is really profound. And it's something that's new to me. It's something that it feels a little artificial. It feels a little awkward when I do it. But the more I get in rhythm with it, I feel that it really helps me shift my mental energy from negative to positive. So that's another resource to consider.
And I have one more that's a free one, which is the work of Byron Katie. If you've never heard of her, you can go to thework.com. And it's a very simple practice of questioning your thoughts. It's called the inquiry. Mm-hmm. And it's 4 questions. Is it true? And can I be absolutely sure it's true? What happens when I believe the thought? How do I show up? What do I do or don't do? How do I feel? And who would I be without the thought? What would I be doing? What would I be feeling if that thought never occurred to me? And then there's a turnaround, and there's videos there that will teach you how to do it. There's worksheets you can download. It's a form of meditation. It's a form of journaling, and it's a form of shifting any negative thought energy that you're experiencing in a real way. Like Shaillee said, you can't sweep it under the rug. You have to acknowledge it. But so many times we're attached to thoughts that simply aren't true. So right. That's another resource.
Right. They don't serve us. And it's the story that we've told ourselves about a situation. Yes. And so, it's just that sense of self-awareness and knowing what's happening, like getting to a point where you can recognize it, acknowledge it, and release it. And then that's when, you really do start to move through it. I want to share something with you guys as we're kind of wrapping up a little bit. We have all of the tips that everyone has shared today. We each shared 2 tips that were wrapped up in all these beautiful stories. We each shared 2 tips with ACE: awareness, creativity, and emotional resiliency. So there's 2 under each of them, and they're on my blog. So if you want to go to amydover.com and you click on free training up in the top right-hand corner of the website, it will load the blog. And go in there and listen. I wrote this with the help of the ladies. I wrote this in a way that this should become a worksheet for you. Mm-hmm. So this wraps up everything that we have just talked about, because I believe that if you want these things to come true for you, I mean, it's easier said than done. It's easy for us to sit here and say it to you, but know that we have done the legwork. We're going through it right now with you. And these are the things that we are using to go through it. And we're going through it together. So that the blog is on amydover.com, free training up in the top right-hand corner, and use it as a worksheet. Like, write those questions out. We may actually turn this into a worksheet. We'll see. I think it would be a great download, and package this in a great little way to make it a resource to help you to facilitate the internal and external growth that we know that you want and we know that you deserve, because you have a great product or service that is life-changing to those who need it, and they still are going to need it even during these difficult times. So I want to thank Deb and Shaillee for coming on today. A couple of my favorite ladies on the show today.
Thank you, Amy. It was
Thank
such a
you so
pleasure
much.
to be with my good friends.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
all the way around the world. We hit 3 of the 4 corners of the US, at least, not the world. It feels like the world when you're confined to this room, this house. But I do want to thank you so very much for your knowledge, your willingness to share and be of value and of service. We know in our heart of hearts, like that all that you have, that knowledge is so very valuable, and it's worth so much. And wait, I don't take these calls lightly. I know that this is worth a lot. I have learned things along the way, and I was practicing breathing before the call today, just to kind of rebalance and get ready, because there's a lot of emotion tied into what we're saying today. And and it's live and in living color. This is how we're processing every bit of our businesses. We've been very transparent today. I hope that has gifted you in some way. I hope that this is helping you to, kick your life and your business back into DoverDrive and just shift it into a new gear and really drive this home. Again, connect in the comments below with all of our information. It will be shared as soon as we end this call. So if you're watching the replay, thank you so very much for tuning in. We appreciate you. We're thinking of you. We're praying for you, and we will see you through this, absolutely. But thank you so very much for tuning in. That's it for today for the DoverDrive Experience.